So we've all seen that trailer, right? Now, what we've seen so far definitely feels like the Superman that we know and love, but with a really fresh take on it that we haven't really seen before, which is very, very exciting as a Superman fan. It's definitely captured some of the small things that I love about Superman, you know, that iconic imagery of him saving children, being that beacon of hope, the clumsiness of Clark Kent, and you know, the iconic Smallville atmosphere. This seems to capture a little bit of everything, and so far it looks perfect. The trailer does show us a lot. There are a lot of first official looks here. So we've got Krypto, Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, obviously. We've got Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, all of those characters, Metamorpho as well. And there's a lot going on in this trailer, but it doesn't give too much away. You know, you just see snippets of those characters, and they all look fantastic, by the way. Just things that first come to my mind, the score, which is by John Murphy. It sounds incredible, and it really matches this film. Obviously, we saw a snippet of it in the motion poster that we got earlier this week. I love it. It has that real old and new vibe. It's a real blend between the two, and it's refreshing. So far, what we've seen, it really feels like a vibrant film, which is kind of a breath of fresh air. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adored the Henry Cavill take on Superman, as you all know. But this is different. This is something different. We're getting a new version of Superman. For example, I have a 3-year-old son, and if I took him to the cinema to see Man of Steel, I know that he would not be interested in the slightest, and I know that's bad taste. But this is very vibrant. It's full of hope. It just feels like a family film, which I'm kind of sold on. I want to be able to take my son to a Superman film and him enjoy every single moment of it because it's accessible to him. And I think that's one important thing about Superman. It needs to be accessible to everybody, accessible to children, adults, everyone. And I think so far from what we've seen in this trailer, they've done exactly that. Like I said, all of the people that we've seen first official looks at, Green Lantern, Metamorpho, all of those characters, they all look fantastic. And a lot of people were sharing the set photos saying, oh, it looks rubbish. But I never thought it looked rubbish. It looked like it needed editing, which I think is the case for most set photos. But what we've seen here looks fantastic. The outfits look immaculate so far. Obviously, we only got little snippets, so it's very hard to say what their take is going to be like. But it was very interesting to see Metamorpho as well. And that's a character that I'm really excited to see more of, just because we've never really seen him in live action. He's rarely in the comics, so this really can be James Gunn's fresh take on this. There's no sort of holding him back into those barriers of he has to look like this, he has to do that, because he's kind of starting afresh for this audience. You know, we also see Superman, well, the whole trailer starts with Superman being hurt. He's laying down, bleeding on the ground. So whatever threat this film brings, it's a serious one. It's one that can do damage. And for that to do that much damage to Superman, it's quite scary, and it's clear that the stakes are going to be high in this film. Interestingly, there are also scenes where it seems that Superman has to win over the crowd. Obviously, we don't know the context of this yet, but there's a scene where the crowds are throwing things at him, and that hurts me to watch because I know how much Superman sacrifices for the people. But obviously, there's going to be some context to that soon once we see the film, and I kind of like that. He has to win people over. This isn't just that hero that jumps in, is immediately loved. He has to work towards that to earn people's trust. And I think that's going to be an important part of the film as well. We also get a little look at the romance. Now, this seems very hot and steamy for a first trailer, and I'm here for it. We don't really see too much of Lois Lane and Superman together. Obviously, Rachel Brosnahan and David Corenswet's characters, we don't really see them too much together in this trailer, but we see enough of them to know how much they mean to each other, what stage they are in at their lives, and just their romance and the relationship between them. So I'm really excited to see where that goes from here, what more we see, and you know, how that's all managed. Definitely jumping in and out of areas here because I'm thinking of things as I say it, but this film so far feels very authentic. Superman can be a cheesy character, I know he can, but this doesn't feel like that. This feels like an authentic, like this person could really exist. I will also say that this suit looks great. The first look that we got where he stood in front of sat in front of the window with all that chaos going on behind him, pulling on his boots. Obviously that suit is battle damaged. There's a lot that's happened before that moment. Obviously we don't know the context between that and the images that we see in the trailer, but the suit looks great. It looks like it fits really well. I'm not always a fan of trunks, I will say, but this just looks iconic. It really has that sense of, and I think James Gunn's kind of confirmed this, but there's a whole Silver Age vibe going on in terms of the look. And I think they have nailed that. And James Gunn already confirmed that this isn't an origin story. So Superman is already established. He's already been on Earth for a number of years, I'm guessing. And I'm very excited for this because we're going to get an era of Superman that we've never really seen in the films, I think. So normally we kind of focus on that origin story, or we focus on a certain point after where he is already Superman. And I'm excited to see the whole Daily Planet and how that relationship with all those characters are going to work. Obviously, we know Jimmy Olsen's here. We know Steve Lombard's in the film. We know Cat Grant's in the film. So I'm very excited to see that dynamic. So it feels like we're very much going to get a established but a very young Superman. Obviously David Corenswet is young, and Superman feels younger here. He's going to make mistakes, but he's not going to do everything perfectly, and I'm kind of excited to see that. So just to talk about some of the characters that we saw in this trailer. So I'm going to start with Krypto because I literally gagged when I saw him. When Superman whistles, I was like, hold on, what's he doing? Yeah, I love dogs. I love Krypto. Krypto is one of my favourite characters, despite what you may say about him. I'm very excited to see him in live action. It's going to be amazing. Obviously, he looks very realistic because it's based off of James Gunn's dog himself. It's just going to be amazing to see that relationship between the two as well. So James Gunn kind of confirmed that he is a terrible dog, and that he comes across very well in this trailer. So I'm excited to see what that means in the film. Obviously, dogs can be cheeky, so hopefully we get to see some of that and see some of the training rituals around that. Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult. Wow, I never thought I'd say this, but why do I fancy Lex Luthor? I've always been a big fan of Nicholas Hoult. I've pretty much followed him his entire career, from Skins to now. He's going to be great. I know it. He's brilliant. He's a great actor anyway, and he just looks the part. And yeah, I do kind of fancy Lex Luthor a little bit. We also see Mr. Terrific, who looks amazing. We've seen Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, who also looks amazing despite that terrible haircut. Metamorpho looks great. We only get a very small snippet of what he looks like, and I'm sure the rest of him is going to look entirely different, and I'm sure we're going to see many versions of him in this film, which is exciting. Hawkgirl looks amazing. The suit looks amazing so far from what we've seen. There was also a little glimpse at Park Kent, which I just feel is going to hit us in the feels. There is also a snippet of destruction from a monster, which I think somewhere, I'm not sure where I read it, but somewhere it's confirmed as Lex Luthor's kaiju, which we have no idea what the context behind that is, but it's obviously a monster. And my first initial thought is, although he's not pink, or it's not pink, it could be Parasite. And that would be a very cool way to bring in the character. It would be great to see him in live action because, again, something we've not really seen before. And yeah, I'm kind of hoping it is Parasite. And finally, I just want to talk about this bit because I've got a few speculations and I'm hoping that I'm right. So I want to record it here to say that I got it right first. But there's a scene in the trailer where Lois and Superman are together in a room in front of a window. So it very much looks like that scene from the first look that we got where he's pulling on his boots. There's a lot of chaos going on behind him or behind them. And from what it looks like, in the image, it's obviously still, so there's a green sort of ball of energy, ball of light, whatever you may call it. In this trailer, it kind of looks like it has tentacles. And my first initial thought is Brainiac. So although Brainiac is not confirmed for this film in terms of, you know, the casting or anything so far, I am hoping it is a hint towards Brainiac because I would love to see him in live action as well. I could genuinely go on forever about this trailer, but I'm going to leave it at that. I'm very, very, very excited. Very, very, very happy with the trailer. I think it's a great first trailer, a real beginning of a new era for Superman and Superman fans like me. We're going to see something totally different than what we've seen before. Obviously, it's going to have those key fundamentals for Superman, but it seems like it's very much going to be a different take on Superman, and I'm very excited for it. Superman releases in cinemas on the 11th of July 2025, and I am literally counting down the days.